You've tried meditation, journaling, therapy, cold showers, that app your friend swore by, and maybe it helped for a bit, and then it stopped working, and you decided it was you, that you're the problem, that you can't stick to anything. But what if the reason nothing works isn't because you're broken? What if it's because you've already decided the ending before you've even started? So, hi, I'm Mercedes. I've been teaching yoga and nervous system work for years. And the thing I noticed on the mat and in my community is that the people who struggle the most aren't the beginners. They're the ones who've tried everything, the ones who walk in already knowing it won't work, already knowing what to expect. I've also caught myself doing exactly this, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. So, by the end of this video, you'll understand why your body keeps rejecting the very thing that could help you, and I'll give you one simple shift that changes everything. So how are we going to actually do this? Well, I'm going to cover these three things in this video. Number one is what beginner's mind actually is and where I first learned it, and how that felt. And the second one is what expert mind looks like and why it's the hidden reason your practices stop working. And the third is how to come back to beginner's mind when you catch yourself in that rigid place. And it's actually simpler than you think. So what is beginner's mind? Now, you could say beginner's mind comes from Buddhist teaching. It also comes from, I've learned it through yoga philosophy, which has a lot of Hindu things in it. And it's something that actually, it's given that name, but you'll hear it with different names in all different cultures. So it's the idea that when you're a beginner, everything is open to you, and that there are possibilities everywhere. So when you're a beginner, you're prepared to take on all that new knowledge. You're there to learn. You're open to learn, and it's all kind of like it's all new and exciting, and you're just like sponge taking in whatever you can take in. But when you're an expert, you feel like you know it, so you stop listening to the information because you already know it, or you think you already know it. And I first got this, and I think really understood it when I was learning to teach yoga. And you have to remember when you're teaching yoga that you're dealing with a load of beginners potentially, or people at all different levels, and you're learning a new way to communicate with people all the time. But also, one of the things that becomes very apparent when you do a lot of yoga that people don't realize when they first start is that every time you go on a yoga mat, your body is different. So what I could do today, I might not be able to do tomorrow. And I know that at different times of the day, my body will respond differently to different postures. And so you have to go to the mat with a mindset of, what's my body going to teach me today? Where's my body going to be? I'm open to it. I'm open to, maybe not being able to do something that I thought I could do today. Or maybe there'll be something I can do today that I've not been able to do before because my body is feeling more open. And you don't really know that. And so when you approach, but if you sort of take the other approach, right, you think, I'm going to do my practice like I know what I'm doing and just do the same thing. It's not actually confidence. It's actually you being inaccurate, and you may even force yourself into an injury or feeling uncomfortable. So when you're on the mat, beginner's mind means turning up with curiosity and not assuming, not forcing, and just asking, what's here for you today? Your body is literally different every time you show up. So approaching it like you already know what it can do isn't just unhelpful, it's inaccurate. Okay, it's really important for you to remember that. But I will say this, it's not just a yoga thing. So you're listening thinking, oh, I don't really do yoga, so it's not relevant. But it applies to every practice, every walk of life, everything that you do. So, when I'm even when I'm teaching nervous system regulation, I have to come at it with a new mindset because my body might respond in a different way. And when you're coming into the group and you're learning, whatever it is you're learning, whatever new practice it is that you're learning, can you approach it with the mindset of, well, even if I've tried meditation before, maybe today I'm going to be more open to the meditation. Maybe I'll be more ready for it. Maybe my body will be in a different place. Let's see how I respond to this today. And we can come at things with interest and curiosity and openness. And then we can think about what it actually looks like to come at things with an expert mind. So I've sort of touched on this, but we can look at the different things that I would say come up, and I'll apply them to yoga, but they apply to pretty much all walks of life as well. So the number one is the showboater. And this is someone that needs everyone in the room to see them. So every pose is a performance. And it's actually not confidence. It's the nervous system seeking safety through external validation. But they think they're the expert. They think they know what to do. And so they are doing it in a way where they want everybody to see that they are an expert. And that's one way you come into with an expert mind, because you are presuming that you know everything, and when actually you probably don't. And the other type of way you see people is they can be quite rigid. So I actually had someone once when I was teaching shout at me at the end of the class for the music that I played, and told me that I wasn't a proper yoga teacher because it should be done in silence. And if I do play music, it should be proper Hindu type music. And I was like, I said to her, you know, if the music doesn't work for you, it's a really great opportunity for you to work on that in the class. It's coming, why is this bugging me so much when I'm doing my practice? And can I learn to do my practice with that music that I'm not comfortable with? But she wasn't prepared to listen. So she was shouting at me because she was so fixed on the way that it should be taught and the way that it should be done, that she actually wasn't open to what I was offering her and what she could gain from my teaching. And that's a nervous system thing as well. That's your nervous system keeping you safe against the unfamiliar. And we're very trained to that. So our nervous system is very trained to being put off guard by the unfamiliar and to feel uncomfortable. And that is the kind of response that you can see. And that's a form of expert mind. And the other is someone who might get injured. So this is when, because you think you know how your body works, you think you know everything, you will then try and force your body into postures, positions it's not ready for today. It may have been able to do it yesterday, but today it's not in the mood, and you need to be kind of aware of that. So they can end up pushing past what's available to them because they've already decided that they can do it. And again, that is overriding the body signals, because the mind has already decided an outcome that actually it can't decide. So now you might not be on a yoga mat, and that's cool, because I'm going to apply this to everything else as well, because I see the same pattern in all the work that I do in the different areas as well. So there are people who come in, they've already done so much reading on nervous system work. They can't receive the practice. You already know it. And so you're not ready to hear maybe another way, another approach. And then there might be those of you, and I've had this happen to me, come in and correct the way that I'm teaching, the language that I'm using, what I'm doing, my approach, because they already assume that they know the right way and that I'm not doing it the way that they think it should be done. And again, that's a form of expert mind, because if you can be open to listening to another approach, you may get something else out of it. And there's the people who might drop out after 1 week because it doesn't work immediately, and you've already decided it never will. So because we're coming in with that expert mind of, well, this is how quickly it's supposed to work, and this is what's supposed to happen, and if that doesn't happen, well, it's not working, and I'm just going to give it up. And that last one is really, really important, because it looks like you're just giving up, but it is your expert mind in disguise. So you've already decided the ending before you've started. Okay, so that's kind of like you are preempting, because you know that if it hasn't worked by this time, it's not going to work, and that's that. And that is a form of expert mind, because you already know. So, and the bit that people miss so often is that beginner's mind isn't just a nice attitude. It's kind of like a physiological state. And when you approach something with curiosity and openness, that's when you're most likely to be in the ventral vagal state. And it's the calm and connected, the open. Your nervous system is calm enough to learn, and it's open to learning. But when you're bracing for failure or assuming the worst, you've got sympathetic activation going on, and your body is in protection mode before you've even started. So it's there protecting you. You haven't even started. It's there protecting you against the failure. So the way you approach the work literally determines whether your nervous system can receive it. And so it's so important to kind of approach it with that openness and with that curiosity and with that beginner's mind, because you can't take in new information when your body is braced against it. It's like trying to pour water into a clenched fist. It's not going to work. Okay, so we want to try and kind of reduce that down a little bit. Now, funnily enough, I'm going to tell you a bit about my story as well. I actually planned this video on, I think it was Monday, a few days ago anyway. I planned it and I thought, well, okay, I'll do that when I do my video later in the week. And I then had a coaching call where they were talking about, and it was done in a completely different way. It was done in the form of coaching and being open to new learning and new ways of receiving things. But as I was sitting there, I was thinking, yeah, this is the exact same message about beginner's mind. So it's a message that I keep hearing a lot. And part of it is because I need to continue to work on my beginner's mind as well, because I am just as guilty of that. So it's not like I've said to you, like, I've got this perfect, I've always got beginner's mind, because I really don't. Sometimes I think I know it all. And I'm quite prone to that. And I have to remind myself of this quite a lot. So I went through a huge shift this year, and I shut down my business and rebuilt everything. And it's a totally different way, and all around the nervous system work and kind of what was at my core, which takes a lot of beginner's mind. So I did go into that kind of beginner's mind. And someone I trust told me I should be charging more. And my gut said no. But I had to sit with that for a while afterwards, because I was like, well, okay, is this my intuition saying that? Or is it my fear and my knowing and my expertness dressed up as knowing? So I'm like, no, I know what's right, because actually it's a fear rather than an intuition. Because the thing is that expert mind and intuition can feel really similar on the surface, and both show up as, I know the right way. Okay, so we get that mindset like, oh, I know the right way. And we can then very easily, our mind will say, oh, but that's our intuition. That's our inner knowing telling us that this is the right thing to be doing. But when you actually tune in to your body, and this is why I always say come back to the body, because expert mind feels rigid in my body, and I get stiff and I feel kind of tense. And I can almost get, when I get into that way of being, like if I got on the yoga mat and I was trying to do my practice, twisting would be difficult, because twisting involves seeing both sides of an argument. So the more I'm being rigid and in my expert mind, the harder it is for me to twist. And when you have intuition, it just flows, it feels natural, it feels open, and it feels expansive. So your body will tell you, and your nervous system will give you feedback in real time. So what do you do when you catch yourself in that kind of like rigid expert place? And this is what I would do, is you can make it into an experiment. Okay, so it's one of the things that I'm doing at the moment in the group with the pricing is I'm not committing to being wrong. Okay, so I'm not forcing myself to trust someone else's advice. I just getting curious. So the minute we start to get curious, we shift out of expert mind and into beginner's mind, because a beginner is always curious, a beginner is always learning. So I'm trying a small increase that's coming soon, and I want it to be something that I could step back from if I needed to. And that's allowing me to drop the fear enough that my nervous system could give me some sort of clean data instead of the fear-based data. Because when you frame things as an experiment, you kind of remove the stakes, because you're just trying it out. And I actually did this. I'll give you the perfect example when I did this. I moved house, was it 2023, in November 2023, and I rented out the house I was living in. My mum and I owned a house together. We rented it out together, and we moved closer to my brother's, and we rented a place there. And it was a big move, but I was like, well, this is an experiment, see how it goes, to see if we like living in this area. And I hated it. So I moved back. But if I hadn't tried it, there would have been a little bit of me. It was like, oh, maybe I would have enjoyed that. But I went into it, because it was so scary moving, I went into it with, well, this is an experiment. I'm going to see how it goes, and we're just going to flow with it and see what happens. And I gave it a go, and because it removes the stakes. And that allows your nervous system to have the space to kind of learn and to be open and to listen to the response that it gets back. So next time you're starting a new practice or a new habit or anything, trying anything out, ask yourself, are you approaching it as an expert who already knows the ending, or are you approaching it as a beginner who's just here to find out? Because that could significantly change the outcome. So don't just notice the thought, tune into the sensations as well. Do you notice rigidity, bracing, Or do you notice openness? Okay, so you start to become more aware of that. But also without the judgment. So if you notice yourself being rigid, don't judge it, just notice it. And then you can just make the next step an experiment, and we can try and release some of that rigidity without it being like a big judgment call, because we all slip into that. And that allows you to then flow into beginner's mind and be in that more beginner's mind place. So hopefully what I'd like you to take from this video is that you've been teaching beginner's mind to yourself in small ways all along. You just haven't named it. And every time you return to a practice after falling off, that is actually beginner's mind, because a beginner will come back because it's new and it's exciting and they're not expecting to fail. And every time you try something at 50% instead of waiting until you do it perfectly, that's beginner's mind, because you're just doing it and you're seeing what happens. And every time you check in with your body, instead of overriding it, that's beginner's mind, because you're tuning in. It's the same thing, I say, when we return and we don't restart, that's always been beginner's mind. We just haven't named it yet. So whenever you've been learning from me about the return rather than restart, what I'm talking about is coming to things with a beginner's mind, with that openness and that curiosity to see what happens. So if this has sort of resonated with you, then I'd love for you to try something today. Pick one thing you've been avoiding or one practice you've been giving up on, and approach it like you've never done it before. Just once, like as an experiment, just see how it goes, and notice what your body does when you take that pressure off. And if you'd like to go deeper with this work and nervous system regulation, somatic practices, Buddhist wisdom for real life and all of that, I run a free community on School called the Somatic Reset Lab, and I'd love to see you on the inside. The link is in the description. And if you watched this and found it helpful, remember to like and subscribe, because I share new things every week, and the more people get to see it, the more you subscribe. So I will see you soon.